Everybody says you have to shoot more to be a good photographer, and that's good advice. But how many of us have really been shooting more this summer? Let's talk about it. Hello again, everybody. I am Rusty with Rusty Brown Photography. Thank you so much for joining me this week, where I want to talk about the importance of shooting more and sometimes shooting outside your comfort zone. Back in the spring, and oftentimes you'll hear me in my videos with, hey, go out there and keep shooting or shoot more or whatever. And I wanted to come back now that summer is pretty much coming to a close. I mean, it's the second half of August as I'm taping this. Labor Day is around the corner. It wasn't that long ago that it was May, and I was excited because the summer was just here, and now it's not anymore. So I wanted to take this time to come back and check up on you to see what you've been shooting and then to update you on what I've been doing, because I do believe that we have to keep shooting to get better. If you don't know what to shoot or you find yourself in some type of a creative rut, I would recommend that you check out DPS. So the Digital Photography School issues these challenges. I will put a link in the comments below. They have been around a long time. The challenges that they issue every week, and sometimes it's several a week, are quite, I'll say challenging, right? I guess that's why they call them challenges, but they're interesting and you will learn from them. DPS has been around a long time, and they've been doing challenges a long time, and I really love that site. I'm not sponsored by them, but I am really appreciative of all the things that DPS has done over the years, particularly where it pertains to helping you gain confidence and skill no matter what your level of photography is. You could be an entry-level person or somebody with a max skill set, but there's always something to be learned, and I think what DPS does is really, really, really good. One of the things that they do is something called the DPS Challenge. I see them all the time, but to be honest with you guys, I don't always have enough time to participate in them. Last week, I saw a challenge that I thought was interesting to me, and I actually sent it out to a couple of my friends to see if they would participate in it as well. I don't think they did, but I went ahead and did it. I'll link that challenge in the description as well, but it was basically how to capture steam or how to capture smoke. Fun fact, one of the dream images that I really want to take, that I have in my mind's eye that I haven't been able to get yet, if you can imagine, hot summer day, you're outside, the streets are really, really hot, you get that midday shower, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, the shower goes away, and you can see the steam coming up off the asphalt because the ground was so hot. I want to capture that. I did not do that for this DPS challenge. Another fun fact, some of you may know, some may not know, that I am a cigar guy. I love cigars. I've been a cigar guy now for several decades. So when I saw the DPS challenge, I thought maybe I could use my knowledge of cigars to try to capture smoke while using the techniques that DPS gave in their challenge. And that's what I did. I'm a portrait photographer for the most part. I photograph people 95% of the time. Product photography is not what I do, and that's why I felt that doing something like this particular challenge would be interesting for me, because it makes me use a skill set that I don't use in portraiture. So here's a shot, the final shot of what I submitted. As you can see here, everything's blacked out. I have a black background, black table. It's a nice shot of a Cohiba, very well lit. You can see the smoke coming off on the left, and slightly out of focus on the right rear you see a drink. That is by design. I put that drink behind the cigar, and I also used a flexible spot focusing system for the shot where I actually put the diamond to focus on the cigar band, because I wanted to send a subliminal message with this shot, which was the cigar is the focus of the shot. The drink, while paired with the cigar, and always your pairing is always a good thing to have, is not on equal footing in this shot. This isn't a shot where the drink is in focus and the cigar is in the background, because if it was, that would highlight the importance of the drink. For my shot, I wanted not just capture the smoke, but I wanted the cigar to take precedence over the drink in the background. So that was the shot, and it was not just a one shot, easy and you're done. I will show you guys how I got that shot. For example, if you take a look at this image, this actually shows you what the set looked like before I got started. You see the ambient lighting. You see my chair in the front. You see the black table. Separation between the black table and the black backdrop that's about 6 feet away. On the left side of the frame, I have an off-camera flash that I set to 1/8 power. On the right side of the frame, I've got a standard clamp-based table lamp with about 1100 or 1120 lumens to basically light the smoke. I've got the rum that I used in the shot, particularly Ron Barcelo Imperial. I'll explain why in just a sec. And I've got actually, the cigar itself. One of the things that I want you guys to know is that this wasn't a simple one and done kind of shot. Take a look. You can see that in about 45 minutes, I took 243 shots. It took a lot of work. Sometimes I would have to take a draw on the cigar to get the smoke to come out the right way, etc. But this is what I mean when I say it's not a one and done shot. So if you look at the way that I call my images, I start off with flagging them. That got me down to 26. Then I start a starring system. 1 star gets you down to 14. 2 stars down to 9. 3 stars down to 3. And I thought all 3 of these had potential. Here's the winner. This one came in. I thought about it for a while. The problem here, there just wasn't enough smoke. It looks kind of light in terms of the smoke content, but I was okay with the composition. This one actually I thought was a little bit better than the second one. The smoke's a little bit better, but the plume itself isn't very wide. So the last thing I do in the culling is I go through and say, okay, let me make the ones green that I like. As you can see, I'm down to 2, the winner and the second place. When you take a look at the winner, there were a couple things that made it work for me. 1, it has a bigger plume of smoke, which is exactly what I wanted. 2, what I told you about focusing on the cigar band where you see the word Cohiba, which really did a good job of putting the drink in a slightly out of focus to the back right, which is also what I wanted. But here's the key that made this particular shot work for me. Let me zoom in. To get the smoke, I actually had to take a draw on the stogie, right? Well, once I set it back in the ashtray, careful not to let the ash fall off, look to the right of the shot. You can actually see where there's smoke still coming out from where I did the draw, and it's a slightly right to left kind of flow, if you will, before it just dissipates. That to me was straight cash. That's what did it for me and made this shot work. In fact, if you look at the way I have the shot right now on the screen, I could crop it like this and it would still be a good picture. But instead, I went with this view because obviously this is what DPS wanted for the shot, which was how to capture smoke. So even going outside of my skill set took a little bit of time, but you have to use a little creativity. As an example, the glass that I used was this one because it has cuts and ridges in it, and I wanted the light to bounce off of that with the ice in it in a particular way. Not a smooth surface. I wanted something that had some crates in it and some dents so that you could possibly see the reflection of the light even better. Told you about the rum. I used Ron Barcelo Imperial because of the color. Now, as a cigar guy, I typically pair my cigars with cognac first, or a single malt scotch second, and rum third if that's all I have. But I wanted this color because it matches the texture that I needed and the tone for the shot, right? A single malt scotch is a little lighter in color, and I needed something a little darker. As I showed you in the shot, this is very simple. It's just an off-camera flash, a Young Nuo, which I had set at 1/8 power. This was on camera left, and I had a trigger on top of the camera. We also talked about this, which is a standard desk lamp with a clamp, regular light bulb inside. This was clamped on the table, and you can maneuver it, which I did, to get the smoke, to light the smoke, exactly in the way that I wanted, because the flash was going to hit it at 1/8 power at the same time, and that was key to making that shot work. Lastly, I was very close to the table. I was using the 24-70 zoom on my Sony A99 Mark II, and I had that puppy zoomed in all the way to 70. I don't have a macro lens, and I wanted to keep the whole shot even, if you will. I didn't want to have any type of bow to it, which I sometimes get when I use macro photography. The point of all this is I'm fairly busy. I have been in studio 3 or 4 times this summer. I've been in there with some friends. At one point I went in with Steve and JR to give them basically a how-to walkthrough of the studio, how to light a model, how to move the lights around, how to adjust the power, basically how to navigate a studio with a model in it. That was a lot of fun. Those guys did a great job. I've been in studio doing work for myself as well as work with clients. I've also worked with artists, as you can see here, whose images I haven't even begun to look at yet, because my entire motive for this summer is to shoot, shoot, shoot. In the event that this Delta variant ends up becoming even worse than it already is and we get into a potential shutdown situation again, I will have enough content here that I could edit for the next year and be fine. So my focus has really been shooting. I also have other projects that I'm working. I'm working a personal project called Jeans that I shoot for. There's another project that I'm working where I'm writing a book that gets released in 2023. I've been shooting for that. In terms of scheduling, and we talked about this before, guys, if you write it down, I think it'll happen. I'm a big believer in journaling and planning the shoot. So one of the ways that you can continue to keep shooting is to get an idea in your head, write it down in your photography journal, contact the people you need to help you make that happen, and then go out there and do it. That's how you continually have something on your shooting horizon, if you will, to keep moving. Doing something like the DPS challenge is fun if you have some downtime or if you haven't been shooting at all. So that's kind of what the theme of today has been, letting you know that yes, when I tell you to keep shooting, when I tell you to get your camera out all the time, it's because it's important. And I don't think we become better photographers with our cameras just sitting idly by. Speaking of which, going back to one of the guys I told you about before, Steve, he's probably the only guy I know who actually carries his camera everywhere with him. So he's always ready to get the shot, whether it's an environmental shot, whether it's graffiti, whether it's some cool people that he meets on the street. He has his camera with him and he's shooting all the time. That is how you get better as a photographer. Sidebar fact, if you will, for the same guy, he has now scrapped all of his Canon gear. And he had a ton of Canon gear, good Canon gear. But now he's switching over wholesale to Sony. That takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of courage. So hats off to Steve for doing that. Hopefully we can sit him down, because that would be a great topic for an entire video when someone actually decides to change ecosystems in photography. But my point there is, now that he's going to be a Sony shooter, and I think it's the A7R4, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. He's got to learn an entirely new ecosystem, and that's not going to happen just from reading or watching YouTube videos. Watch this video though, right? All right. It's going to happen because he decides to go out and take shots and to do some things. So hopefully we'll be able to hang out with Steve and see how his journey is progressing as he now becomes a Sony alpha shooter like myself and several others. So what I wanted to show you today was that, yes, keep shooting is important. Yes, I'm shooting. So what I'd like you to do is drop me a comment. Let me know, have you been shooting in the summer? What are your plans to shoot in the fall? Also let me know if you haven't been shooting and you want to shoot more. Let me know that too. Maybe you just need a little help. Maybe you need somebody to help kickstart that for you. Check out DPS, because they've got some great stuff, but don't hesitate to contact me as well. There are things called Meet Me groups, photography Meet Me groups, and they're in every zip code in the USA and even to places that are overseas for those of you guys overseas. If you have difficulty finding a meetup group for your skill level and the type of photography that you want to do, let me know. I can be a conduit for that to happen for you. Again, the key is you're a photographer at some level. I'm a photographer who's constantly challenged to be better and be more succinct in my photography. And in addition to doing a lot of reading, in addition to watching my favorite photographers on YouTube, I also basically just get out there and get shooting. Plan your shoots and get there. If you want to look for some things to do in the fall, think about the fall foliage that's coming. You're going to have a different color scheme, if you will, in the environment now that it's going to start to get a little bit cooler in a month or so. Be mindful of the time and that your days are going to be a little bit shorter. But if you're in the, say, the DC area, plan a trip up to the Shenandoah Mountains. Get some really good foliage photography, or take a look at some of your landscapes as those change colors during the fall. My point is that there's no shortage of things to photograph. And sometimes we all get in that creative rut. We think there's nothing to shoot, or that I've shot everything there is to shoot. Nothing could be further from the truth, and hopefully there's something I can do to help you realize that. So, if you haven't done so already, I would ask that you please give a like and subscribe if you are so inclined, because that actually helps me to bring this type of content to you, which I enjoy doing when I'm not out shooting. I look forward to seeing some of your images. If you have been shooting, drop me a link to them. I would love to look at them. Let me know if you've done any DPS challenges or any other sites that do great challenges. And lastly, let me know what you plan on shooting going forward. I will continue to check up on you guys. I'm going to come back and do a similar themed video before daylight savings times end, so we can talk about what we shot during the fall and maybe start thinking about photography challenges during the winter. Until that time, I ask you all to please stay safe, keep shooting because it's important. Cheers.